Hi everyone, welcome to the channel. I'm your master cosmologist here with a forecast for the week of April 27th through May 3rd, 2026 for all zodiac signs for the collective. We are coming off of the word resolve last week, and that energy was one of resolving to resolve all of our issues. The word that I channeled for this week is the word change. We have the sun in Taurus, and that is highlighting all of the things that must be changed. The earth is in Scorpio, and that is walking through the fear of change. It's going to call up a bunch of things from your past that are there to move through, not to spook you into inaction. We have the power of Mars behind us in Aries to begin to make these changes. I'll show you the card that came up for this reading. It's a panda, big panda, little dragon oracle card. It says, sometimes it's okay for me to start a new journey without a destination in mind. Sometimes it's good to head out with no idea where you're going. And that is essentially what humanity is stepping into right now. Overnight, we had Uranus move into Gemini from Taurus. Uranus was in Taurus for many, many years, and basically stirring up big change, massive change. It was everting and tilling up all of the things that were hidden in the shadows and in the dark and under the surface in the subconscious to be looked at and to be moved through. At this point, Uranus in Gemini is needing you to think and speak completely different. So let me back up just a little bit here. We're coming off of this word resolve, and we're stepping into the word change. Along with change came three other words. They were familiar, familial, and unfamiliar. What that indicates is Jupiter in Cancer. Jupiter in Cancer has been, I've been calling it scraping off the barnacles of our family of origin, our bloodline. All of the things carried in our DNA that are patterns that have influenced our behaviors our entire lives. We're being asked to evolve and change these, especially fear patterns and trauma patterns. And pull on a new version of ourselves to surmount and tackle and conquer all of these, what you might call fight or flight type of patterns, baseline urges, very ancient feelings and behaviors that are no longer going to be helpful or relevant in the future. Ahead lies unfamiliar territory and a need to leave the familiar. We're all being pushed to evolve. Humanity isn't going to be what we've known it to be for hundreds and thousands of years. We're being pushed to rapidly change and evolve. So we are needing to shed those familial patterns, leave what's been familiar and comfortable, and embrace brand new territory and the unfamiliar. I'm working with the Serpent Fire Tarot and the Affirmators at Work Oracle deck. With the Oracle card that I already showed you, that it's good to head out with no idea where you're going, that is essentially Uranus at 0 degrees of Gemini. No idea, no clue. And a lot of that is because you don't even know who you are at this moment in time. That character is now in development. R&D, research and development, I heard. Research because you are going to have to research and palpate and trial and error, new hats, new interests, new careers, new thoughts, new actions, everything brand new. And development because it's a process. It's going to take time, and it's going to feel quite uncomfortable to sit in that space of not really knowing who you are and what you're stepping into. It's kind of scary stuff. So we're being asked basically to not be afraid and end our familial trauma and fear patterns and fight and flight and knee-jerk reactions to run away from change and just embracing it at the same time. It's not the most easy or fun or comfortable thing to do. Now, I'm hearing that that's all an attitude adjustment. You know, you can lean into it and embrace it as fun. It doesn't have to be something to run from and get stalled out about. So since it's a good idea to head out with no idea you're going, there was a term that was kind of floating around in my head. I don't think I'm going to use it, but it's kind of like very Star Trek-y, or Star Trek more than Star Wars. It's more Star Trek-y. It's like being willing to portal to new places and try things and experiment. I'd been called personally to watch The Croods, the movie The Croods, about the caveman family that won't leave their cave. And I watched it last night, not actually realizing that it was Uranus's final moments in Taurus at 29 Taurus. And it was the perfect movie because it essentially captured the entire essence of this time period that we're all in. So if you feel called to watch it, I feel like there was a lot of value in there and a good dose of humor about it. It might ease some of the tension and give you a good giggle. The cover here is interesting because it feels like Uranus going through, I wouldn't call it a portal because I use portal very specifically. I don't use it loosely, willy-nilly, like most readers do without any context or data or math or proof of what they're talking about. But this I'd call more like the line between Uranus and Gemini, and this big lumbering animal would be Uranus being pushed out of Taurus by this magical little goose here, where it does feel like trying to make a rhino jump through a hoop a little bit. But this is coming through like, just call up your manifestor friend. I don't know why, but this little creature right here is giving me major manifestor energy, which is one of the types in human design. If you're familiar with human design, like, you need a manifestor in your life. They're going to tell you essentially what to do. They'll boss you around and get you to jump through this hoop. So if you can align with a manifestor, I think all the better for you at this moment. Let's see. Oh, the other thing that was coming up is on the cover of this. It's funny because it does look like horns leaving Taurus, but this is coming through as a sistrum to me. We're listening to sistrum music. That was at 911. Could break up some of these very, very old patterns. It's almost like it would genetically unlock certain holding patterns, certain freeze patterns in you. All right, I'm called to get an affirmators card first and see what wants to come up. As I was shuffling and juggling the cards there, it was coming through like, it might feel like a lot to juggle. It might feel like there's a lot of moving parts. You know, Uranus in Gemini is a very distinct completely different energy than Uranus and Taurus, where it's a lot more high tech, it's a lot more communicative, there's a lot more information being passed back and forth, which interestingly, I got the card listening. I'll read it. It says, I foster a heightened level of engaged listening in all my conversations, whether in person or over the phone. When I start to zone out or feel the urge to interrupt, I remind myself that it's better to tune in and listen, really listen to what the other person is saying, because without good attentive listening, I won't be able to shoot. What did they just ask me? All right, so the first thing I'm getting there is there might be a lot of scattered energy, scatterbrained energy this week with Uranus being at 0. Gemini, I'm getting that there's an aspect of yourself that knows some of the next moves very precisely to make, and you want to zone out and not heed them and not listen and act as if you don't know. 1111, where I'm getting interrupting. I heard interrupting cow. Uranus is like, interrupting cow. I just came out of Taurus. Where you have to do an interrupting cow moment on yourself and be like, moo. Almost kind of like ringing an internal cowbell to alarm yourself that you are beginning to go into the familial, run away from danger, run away from change, run away from evolution, run away from what's new pattern. And then also I get these two, that it's important to have a buddy, like going through this with a buddy system. Call that manifestor friend. If you don't have a manifestor friend, somebody that you know will hold you accountable and won't just talk like lip service to you or placate you. Someone that will be very direct and honest with you. 0 degrees Gemini is Scorpio influenced. It would not talk bullshit. It would be very straight, and it would have the hard talks with you. Let's get some tarot cards here. I have the 4 of Swords. The 4 of Swords here is giving me a release from the moon, from being moon blinked, from being locked in your Akashic record, from existing in patterns, especially that are paternal and maternal pass downs from your ancestors. The lighting is going a little weird here as the sun goes down, but there's some ghostly liminal figures here, and this is the ancestral lines. These are the ancestral lines. These are the lines that you derived from. These are the ancestors. They actually are encouraging you. They are much more proud of you to release your moon, the old feelings that have held you in their patterns, and they would love to see you evolve and transform and move beyond them. You must, I'm hearing, release yourself from the knots. There are knots. Now this is both physical and this is both, it's, how do I explain this? This is a complex one. I'll try to make it simple. A lot of these holding patterns that you have yourself in are locks, and they are genetic. They need the key to be turned to release you from them. And then there's also a spell casting element here of speaking death sentences to oneself instead of life sentences. Your words matter. Your words are the keys to change and transform out of these patterns. That was at 1444, so 144 in there. The sistrum music will help, especially if you identify as having very strong Egyptian themes in your Akash. The next card I have is the Eight of Wands. Ooh, this is a very deep image. I'm going to hold the image up so you can receive it and infer what you will from it. However, what I'm receiving here is this would be the twins of Gemini, and this is the energy of Uranus entering it. It acts as like a rainbow bridge to jump through this impossible genetic leap. And this looks like the genes opening up and playing different notes, a repatterning. There's also a sense of a lot of genetic diversity here, genetic proliferation, like epigenetic changes is what I'm getting with this card, where when you are able to coach yourself and encourage yourself to make the big changes that you know you need to become someone completely different and that your ancestors would be proud of, those changes, those actions that you take, those risks, those movements into unfamiliar new territory that you would have historically opted out of, that actually is the key turner. That's what really gets your genetics. Sorry, I feel like I'm maybe getting bit on the foot here. We're just about to enter the bug explosion in the swampy south here. Anyway, yeah, so the actions are what open up the genes. And I heard specifically gene codes. All right. The devil. I heard the devil you know. You are going to want to run right back to the devil you know, the old you. You're going to want to let that devil live. What I'm getting here is this a very Gemini devil too. There's two twins here and a pentacle, which is a 5-pointed star. Gemini, numerology. I can tell that we are at 0 degrees of Gemini and the brain is not what it was. It's repatterning, it's glitching out, it's not even finding the words. The tongue is slipping. So anyway, I was saying that this feels like Gemini because we have the two twins and then the 5-pointed star, the numerological number, the association of Gemini is the number 5. So this to me is running right back to the devil that you know, the devil that you're comfortable with. New devils, new levels, new levels, new devils must be something that you move towards and not shy away from. The poison that you know is going to suck the life out of you. It's going to be very toxic and we want to avoid that at all costs. So what we want to do is do a 180 and run towards those new devils, new levels. What else was I getting here? Gosh, the information's coming really quick too, and I'm having a hard time pulling it all down because my mouth doesn't want to go as fast as the downloads. That's indicative of a new processing unit. Like your brain is going to become a higher processor, like the RAMs and the gigabytes and all that stuff is going to go much faster. Uranus and Gemini is like a total update of the computer and the computing. Your computational ability is going to change dramatically. Ooh, come on, give me what else was coming through with this devil because it feels like it's important. I guess it wasn't meant to come out. Do we want more cards here? Yeah, I'm going to get clarification on the devil. Okay. Good, 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 good. Sometimes if I shuffle, it brings it back up. The other thing that I was saying here is that you want to become a new devil internally. So previously, this is Gemini energy, you had internally running a villain, a victim, a hero, and a guide. All of these characters need to change for your evolution right now, especially the villain. The ways that you were bad to yourself in the past, those need to do a 180, and it's more like being your own boss and making yourself jump through the hoops. You need to be bad to yourself in that type of manner instead of excusing yourself out. That's how you were being both the villain and the victim previously. It feels like you need to talk to your inner victim and boss it around. Tell it what to do is kind of what I'm getting there. I'm to get one more card, I think, and call that our message. The Sun. Actually, I'm to get two more, another oracle with the Sun. Oops. So on this Sun, I'll talk through it as I'm shuffling here. There's two wolves with wings. There's a dark wolf and a light wolf. It's reminding me of the Native American, which wolf will you feed? The dark wolf or the white wolf? You know, the dark, they're the same thing. No, dark wolf or the light wolf. The white wolf or the dark wolf. You are both of them. Okay, there's a card stuck on the bottom and it won't come off, but it's the one I need. It's gonna be a little sticky. I have advocacy, which is also a wolf. So what I was getting with these two wolves is you cannot starve either of them. It's not even a true story. It's not a good tale. It's incorrect. If you starve one, then you die. You quit going on. You actually have to nourish both equally. That is the magic of Gemini, of the twins, is both have a right to live. It's how the interfacing and the interplay operate now. That is the evolution. That is the revolution. Advocacy here is turning this devil into your own advocate. This card says, I am my own best advocate. When I have an idea, I share it. When I have a need, I speak up about it. When I tell a joke and none of my coworkers laugh, I make sure to repeat it and then explain it. And if need be, draw a diagram so everyone gets it. I get something here with all of that about sharing your voice and being heard. Yes, it's important to listen, but I feel like you haven't been heard, you haven't been listened to, and this is about letting your voice giving your voice letting it out, letting it speak, letting it exist, even if that is scary for others and they have tried to put it to rest, silence it. This has an echo feel here. Your voice, your words, your advice, your advocacy is needed right now because it is going to open up these codes in others. Okay, I think that's what I've got. I've got so much more, but I'll put it into other videos as we go along here because yeah, it's like very big. It's opening up really quick here. Okay, thank you for joining me and I will see you on another video. Bye.